Hey everybody, welcome back to the Hyperloops 2020 podcast. It's your boy Bobby Sapphire. I'm here with the other two members of the Hyperloops crew. I think this is like the first time we've done all three of us 3 times in a row. But I've got NJ Cuenca here. Nick, what's up?
I'm raising the roof because I got this nice Milagro tequila sponsored by thehyperloops.com. We're actually sponsoring Milagro. That's how big we are.
we're working on whatever's next for the Hyperloops, and it's probably tequila making, distilling.
Tequila reviews.
Oh, it's tequila review website.
All right. I get Dos Equis though.
Yeah, absolutely. All you.
That's you. All right, and then there's Honestly Sarcastic coming in with the Dos Equis tequila, huh?
I think that's beer, by the way.
I don't know what it is.
Maybe they make it tequila.
I don't know what it is. One bit. I just know it's the world's most interesting
Most
man.
people think that Dos Equis makes beer, but what Joe presupposes is maybe they make tequila.
I don't know. We'll find out, but I'm just doing that one.
Yeah.
Tastes like shit.
So I thought about doing a what's next, question mark colon Legends of Runeterra ? Article. Which might be on the horizon, but I think it's too early. And then, maybe do that with a couple games, like potentially the old Star Wars CCG, which is still kicking. Just trying to come up with ideas for articles still. And that was one of the things. Is like, what's next? And then so Cuenca, you can do the what's next tequila.
Tequila, the card game. There you go. $1 million
TCG.
idea.
We could
Tequila TCG.
I mean,
That's right.
I wouldn't mind designing a CCG. I think it would be kind of interesting. I think it'd be hard to reinvent the wheel, but alcohol CCG sounds interesting.
Like a CCG that's you can only play if you're drunk and drinking.
Yeah, you make a drinking game CCG.
There you go.
Instead of islands, mountains, plains, swamps, it's like beers, wines, liquor.
Oh, you mix them in the wrong order. You got to barf out 2 cards off the top of your deck.
I gotta tap my champagne.
Yeah. Where's my electrolytes? Need the electrolytes.
Yeah, absinthe.
Oh yeah, that's got to be a color.
Yeah.
Hydrate. It's like, all right, I'll tap 2 glasses of water and take 4 Tylenol.
Yeah. Water is like generic. It's just like what you get. You actually
we shouldn't go on too much. We don't want this amazing idea to get stolen by Richard Garfield. I know he's listening.
That's right.
Where's Elon Musk?
Dude, Elon Musk stopped listening. He was like, "Nah, these guys will never make it."
Somebody's there.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna try and talk some Destiny. Covert Missions released 3 days ago, which is pretty great. It's not legal yet, technically, but I'm sure everyone's playing with it and jamming games. Nick is raising the roof again. It's his new move.
It's almost like he's lifting weights. That was much closer for you.
Freaking Joe and his shake weights. Yeah, so I don't know. Nick, you said you had some hot fire takes, so I'm gonna let you start off before we start talking about the box event Joe went to and just the meta in general.
Well, my experience so far is the meta is very aggressive. And that is because of Venishoin, whatever his fuckface name. Sorry. He is stupid.
Trandoshan Warrior?
Trandoshan Warrior, that's his name. Yeah, he's very stupid, and I hate his face. But he's very good, so you probably should be playing him in some deck.
Hunter.
I lost to a IG88 warrior deck with the plot. The name of it escapes me. The one that costs 2 and you can remove a bounty hunter dice.
Yep.
Yeah.
It hasn't really been played competitively, but
No, I just deleted a deck with it the other day, but I know what you mean.
Yeah. So I mean that was annoying because being able to flip to 3s and then and he had a million bounties, and I was playing Constructed Death Star, which I think right now and probably forever is an unplayable deck, which I am very sorry to everyone out there who is a lover of alternate win conditions. The problem with alternate win conditions in this game is that their guys are just alive, and so in other games your opponent has to play things, but in this game they just start with things.
Yeah.
So that's the problem.
Yeah, the alternate win conditions is rough. The that plot's called Any Means Necessary, by the way.
And it's Trandoshan Hunter.
Yep, Trandoshan Hunter.
42
from the new set.
I think destroy the Death Star is viable, but not as like the primary win condition, as I'd say it. So like, let's say you're going to a specific match, you could be like, okay, if you had like Luke 4, the plot's 1, and then you go in and you're like, all right, they're playing this slow, dirtily deck. I can just go 220 to this instead of having to bash through shields and whatever stuff.
That's destroy the Death Star.
Yeah, I'm saying destroy.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, that I could. I'm on board with you there if you could do it, but
yeah, because like you can just decide to kill their guy if you want. It's not like you're losing damage, right? Like, and you can go that alternate path if you'd have to deal with like too many shields or look, this is Jawa's in like 30 health. I'm gonna go 20 this thing instead. This is gonna be easier.
But it's still 2 points, right? The plot.
It's 1 with Luke.
1 point. 1 with Luke, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So feasible.
So you can go like Luke for 15, and 8 for Red, and 7 for Annie, and Annie's a pilot. So if you go Kazuda or whatever like that dude's name is, then you have a 30-point team. 2 pilots or 3 pilots, 2 with piloting, and you just jam in all the vehicles for damage, and you could get there off of it.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I definitely, I like alternate win conditions, but I also recognize that they're almost like always a bad proposition. Very rarely are they like workable. But I also love decks that have multiple win conditions, and that's hard to come by in Star Wars Destiny.
Yeah. I think I understand what you're saying, and I think the issue, I guess, if like a deck was really bad against shields, I could see that. Because there's certain decks like, I don't know, I remember that deck that Shane was playing that was just like infinite shields with Yoda Ray. Yeah, and actually Yoda Ray gets that new plot, which is, something worth trying if you have time.
Yeah.
But it on the first doesn't seem great. But essentially, like, if you knew, the problem is that you need a higher level of understanding, and you need a lot of testing to know, okay, this is my specific plan for this one matchup.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, and so you were saying also with the 1-cost plot, you can get access to covert missions, which is obviously a very, very good card. And Krennic, I think, is really good, just like as a character, like, even as a 14-cost character, and you get access to covert missions and potentially other things that could spot plots, like the battlefield or whatever. I don't know what else comes to mind, but definitely covert missions by itself could be worth it. Maybe.
No, definitely. There's definitely options there. It's just that I was playing a Hera version with Luke and Annie, and so it was like, all right, triple pilot, 2 piloting. Like, I have all the stuff going for it, and I was thinking like, well, if I get rid of Hera and I put, Kazuda, then in theory, because I can fit the destroy the Death Star plot, it means like if I'm playing against something that just makes too many shields, or like 30 health, 35 health, some insane deck, I'll just be like, yeah, I'm gonna go 220 to this thing instead. But if you're playing in Trandoshan, you had to push damage anyways. You're like, I'll just kill that guy, because you can't leave them alive the entire game. It's just too hard. But if, like I said, if you're playing in something with like 25, 30 health, and you're just gonna have to deal with like shields coming up out of nowhere, like Bale Mill or something like that, you just shield after shield after shield. Let me go smash this Death Star and make half of your cards like not matter. Like field medics and riot shields don't do anything. If I'm not hitting you, I'm hitting this other thing. So instead of going for that, I can go for this, and it's easier. But with constructed Death Star, I don't like it. Like, you have to just give up a billion resources. I think you either need to have some insane board state where you can do that. I think it just takes too long.
Yeah, it seems really, really slow. And like, yeah, what's that helper like upgrade that they have that's supposed to help you out? But it doesn't actually help you. I forget what the name of it is.
Death Star plans?
Yeah.
So it does help, but it doesn't particularly help more than 1, or like it helps at 1 and then 3. But you still have to remove the 2 resources to go for the ability on the Death Star to win.
Mm-hmm.
So like you can't do that for the 15th, but you can have done it for all the way up through the 14th, and then you just do the other ability for the. I guess in that case you have to do it up through the 13th. After that, your thing just doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, I think you make a good point with that. If they had a specific kind of deck where you weren't going to be able to beat them in the amount of time, then yeah, that makes sense. Is Luke like Krennic with
Yeah.
one less, or it is one less? Okay.
Yeah, that's why I was saying it, because Luke's 14.
Yeah.
If he goes 2 dice or 11, and then
That's,
1 to 15, 8 and a 7, boom, rainbow, triple pilot, 2 piloting, all range sides, good to
yeah.
go.
GTG.
GGG.
Now, so I was going to mention. I thought of this and I wrote it down because I didn't want to interrupt you.
Mhm.
How do you feel about desperate measures in the format? How warping is it to everything?
I think if any yellow villain deck's not running at least one, they're probably insane. Like I could fathom just not having it, right? But it's just so good if you run into any of those matches where you need it that I would like to have the out available. Even if it's dead in like 50% of my matches. There's usually at least one support somewhere that you could like randomly hit. But the matches where like you just obliterate them behind it are insane. Like I ran one in Kragan, but I had covert missions. So I had access to just tutoring it. There's no way I'm not going to run a toolbox freaking destroy card.
What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think one sounds like the right number. Given like just it's hard to run two when some of the decks are so aggressive and don't rely on supports that I don't know if you can like really afford to draw like dead 2 cards in your hand. But I mean, I love the idea Joe's talking about with covert missions to just have the toolbox and just pull the one thing that you need.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good idea, but I don't know. I think you could totally hedge if you knew what kind of event you were at. But at Worlds, presumably the field's going to be wide open. But if you really think you're just going to like face Bane all day, are Bane decks playing Forbidden Lore?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, I imagine so. I just haven't done
Yeah.
it. Like,
Well, the problem is that you don't really want covert missions for a. And that's
Yeah.
no, I'm not saying covert missions for it. I'm just saying like if they play a Forbidden Lore and you happen to have your one of
right. It
desperate,
does something.
you can get
Absolutely.
something. Like you can,
Blow
you're
somebody
basically
out.
disrupting them, and yeah, it changes the way they're planning out their turn and everything. They lose a card in their hand. So it's still always been a fine target. It's like, but I don't think I would like bring 2 knowing that, if I thought the meta was going to be like mostly Bane or like Bane
Trandoshans and
Raylo
stuff.
or Trando, yeah, stuff without upgrade, like stuff without supports.
Yeah. There's usually some sort of play. Like my Trandoshan has IG 2000 because that thing's a bounty hunter. As long as you have a bounty hunter, which is, oh my god, I can focus it. Yeah, it's broken.
Yeah, I mean, I've always thought that card was great, but like when you can obviously just turn it to the 3, it's insane.
Yeah. Sweet.
Yeah, Trandoshan seems sweet. Anything else you wanted to rant about, Nick?
Well, I played against Trandoshan with the old IG88, not the oldest, but the second one that was generally not playable, and I told you about that, but that was good.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. I'm working on some decks. I'm actually working on a Afra deck with it's a Jabba Afra Battle Droid. So see how that goes, and Jabba get some good tools. It's the new card that flips to 2,
Reap.
so you can search for that. Yeah, Reap. You get that, and uh, with Entourage, you get some more ability to do more damage because you have 2 scoundrels. I still think that she's worth looking into, Afra.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's fallen way, way, way out of favor, like probably further out than she's ever been. So I think like being the person that's going to give that a fair shake is pretty good. I don't know if I love the health pool there, but
Yeah,
obviously
26
if
is rough. Yeah.
26 is pretty rough.
But you
I
know
mean,
what?
if you have Reap and you can make the money, I guess like you could build more battle droids, right?
Yeah, I was thinking about that, but I wanted to start off with just like traditional and see if I could get to like sixth card and play uh uh
What's the ability?
what's the card that I'm looking it up right now. A Sinister Piece.
Okay.
So when you have 6 cards, Sinister Piece gets a lot better. So if you like just draw kind of like a card that you didn't want,
Sure.
you have you have additional. You have Face the Enemy, which is any kind of red villain deck gets access to that card, and I think that any deck that could use it should try using it, even if it's even if it doesn't get a ton. Like I was looking at other cards that it might get. You in theory could do Delve, but I don't know if the bigger things are really worth it. Like I kind of just want to tell off at Mega Blasters if that, but I think it's worth. I'm going to look at it just because you got to do your due diligence and your science for Worlds. So
What Battlefield?
that was like and the Battlefield. I was just looking at Theed because I don't have Fist or Delve currently, so I thought Theed was just like I'm never going to be able to claim. I have 0/0s, assassin, droids, BTs, and all that stuff. I didn't actually know if like Hired Muscle or Fickle were better, but I kind of did a split. And yeah, I think the consistency of Reap. Like I played against Joe, and he played a Reap deck, and it just didn't seem like it was kind of aggressive enough. It just took a bit too long to set up, and I think that's might be an issue with a lot of those decks that want to play Reap. You got to make sure that you kind of get running fast. And also, with the DM concern, if you're playing a card that costs 1 that's super impactful, like BT or 0/0/0, and they DM it, it sucks, but, at least they didn't DM your Fist, or they didn't DM your, Mega Blaster, or that new card, I forget the name of the card.
Duchess?
The Duchess, yeah, they didn't DM your Duchess, so.
I would test out Abandoned Refinery. I think
I was thinking about that card. I was thinking about that card. My issue was that I just never really wanted to
throw your
sacrifice. Yeah, and I figured I never really wanted to. I was almost never going to be claiming, and with Battle Droids, you know how dies kind of bad.
Yeah.
So just like, I use him, he gets the resource. He's excellent. Good
That's
job.
fair. Like my thinking was, you could do some kind of stellar plays off of like ID10 and that. Like play the ID10 for free, go use it, throw it away to play an Entourage. And draw a card. So like I figured there's some refinement there. You could throw away a BT or a 0/0 to play the second one. And like get the usage again because they're uniques. So like you get to like flip between kind of cards and filter through your deck a bit with that as well. So I just figured there's some interesting interactions there with Refinery. And if you give it to your opponent, very seldom are they going to get like a bunch of usage out of it. So I think that's where you're just like, who cares? So if they pick it for you, you could potentially do something busted. Whereas if they pick it for them, if they take it from you, they're probably not going to be able to go far with it. Whereas Steed is Steed.
Yeah, Steed is just, it does what it does, and they'll take it, and the following round they'll probably be able to use it, but it's like we talked about this before.
Yeah.
Getting that resource in the first round is not as good. Getting it is better than getting it in the second round.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting one. If the games were going longer, I could see it having like a lot of interesting plays. Something that like is a support on table that you use but then goes away, or like even like in old school after how you have bubble shields, like you could like put 2 on it and then sack it to play like put a droid out for essentially free. If it's your first droid for the turn, so like and draw a card, it has nice synergy with Afra.
Merchant Freighter.
So I kind of like, yep, there it is.
There it is.
Yeah, so Merchant Freighter would be perfect for that. And yeah, I just like the idea of further cycling through your deck, taking advantage of what Afra does, which is get you more playable cards, and this sort of letting like you use something and then just dump it, just get rid of it.
Stop droid for free. Go and use it. Throw it away for an Entourage. You did your job, Stop droid. You did your job.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. I think that's really good. The draw card is like really cool.
Yeah.
I do want to ask you guys, I think obviously Cloud Car is a potentially a very powerful card.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wanted to get you guys' take on that card and what. Obviously, I thought about that because of Refinery works super well with Refinery, like just like probably the best. Like they were like, oh, we could Cloud Car Refinery. Oh my god, it's so good.
Yeah, you did that to me, and it kind of felt dirty.
It's super dirty.
It was
just the
dirtier
problem
because
is
you
that
had
when you don't
Poe.
get your battlefield.
Oh yeah.
Or you like play Poe, or I played Poe with Satine and AR, which I think honestly is a very reasonable pairing, but I don't think it's like top tier, but it seems like something that you could try, and it might be.
Yeah.
I guess like if you have that, if you're playing Cloud Car Refinery and Eject, like you can just get dirty with it, right?
Yeah, that was the plan,
Mm-hmm.
but Joe stopped that. Joe killed my Satine
Yeah.
in one shot. I was like, fuck.
I killed it round 1 in one shot before I got to use it.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. So what I would say there is you could try what other people have been doing. They've been running Poe Sabine. So you have 2 pilots piloting. It gives you access to the 0 cost card where you could activate and get the 2 shields for the 2 pilots. After Poe's death, you still have your ejects live. So if they kill Poe first, you have your easy pickings, your potentially entangle available, and eject through roughly the end of the game. So like I think that's a potential option for going there. You lose AR, but whatever, you move on.
What was the team that you had, Quinka?
I was playing Satine AR
and Poe.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
instead of the additional pilot, but I that's probably better. I mean, like I definitely did have my Poe die, and then I had these ejects, and I was like,
Yeah.
But yeah, with Sabine is good for 13. It's fine.
Yeah, is there a consensus like best triple pilot team? Is there a triple pilot team, or is that like not something that's like working?
I have a triple pilot team, but they're not all piloting.
Right, because you're using Anakin.
Yeah. Little Annie's a pilot. He's a beautiful man, flanked by wingmen. Enables it after one guy's still dead. It's like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Can't pilot
Little orphan Annie.
Mm-hmm.
Can't remember the aunt's name.
Yeah. Where are our pod racers? We need poor pod racers. I'm sorry. We can continue. I was just thinking about how we only got like one cycle of pod racers, and I really want another. But anyway.
Yeah, a lot of things that we only got one cycle on that we're kind of getting like even just looking at covert missions, I'm like, oh man, do they only have mission plots in this set? That's so depressing.
Because I really wanted
4 of them.
Yeah, I wanted Jabba start your engines. So like for a pod racer that was good besides the Bulbas.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, these just not good enough.
OG pod racer, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, they're like fine. They're mid tier, whatever.
Use
but
them.
they're not.
Throw them away to the refinery.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
I should think about that.
Get your Hailfire droid tank going. You Hailfire droid tank. You play a merchant freighter and deal a damage, and you get a resource. Throw it away.
Dirty.
Wombo.
I like your Cloud Car Refinery eject idea. I think that's sweet.
It was disgusting.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, like if they go into it right, then it's just like dirty. It's just super dirty. And then like so the AR is like you can get
crate or
you can get freighter, and then that's just like super dirty because you're just like for 3 you like 3 plus 3, and like it takes a while, but plus 3 is so good. But yeah, I mean, I think that there's something there. I mean, maybe both happened. I'll look at it again, but it's just the Trandoshans are just they have such like 3-for-1s. Like, why do they have 3-for-1s? It's so stupid. Like,
yeah, the villain yellow got taken like over the edge this set, like just completely over. It's the threes coming out of this set on the yellow villains is just bonkers.
It's like why like you win the roll, right? It's not even that like for sure you like get 3-for-1 damage. You also just like win the roll because your guys have 2 3s and they cost 11. They have 2 dice. Like, what the?
Do you know what their average roll is for the battlefield?
I'm assuming it's dirty. I don't even care.
It's 6.5.
Yeah,
their average is 6.5 for the 5-die variant. It's the highest that exists.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah, Vader can't contend. Lando Wedge
Vader.
can't contend. Lando Wedge sounds like so much bigger.
I know, but five dice just changes it.
Yeah.
We've always had to have 5 dice be like, Anakin's die,
Yeah.
like some janky 7-pointer, but not anymore.
Yeah, when your 11-point characters have 2 dice and they have a 2 and a 3, like
Bala Sienna,
it.
Night Sister has come a long way.
I know, right?
Average
And
of
they
5,
didn't-
baby.
And they didn't learn from that.
OG. Yeah, now you don't
Unless
have to.
it's-
You don't have to roll anymore. You're just like focus. And it's like, oh
Mhm.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. I was like, listen, this is a dice game, and you really just like removed all of the dice in the dice game, like all the rolling. You're like, oh, I rolled. Like, oh, you didn't automatically roll. Or they rolled like a 2 and a blank. You're like, fuck, like this is so stupid. Like, oh, you just got a 3 for 1 or a 2, whatever you want. That's fine.
Yeah.
But that hasn't that really been the name of the game over the course, like now that
Recently.
so like yeah, I mean even for a long time. I don't know if you noticed this, Cuenca, but in our Facebook memories, you announced the launch of the Hyperloops.com was yesterday, 3 years ago.
Woo!
So this is like our 3rd anniversary podcast.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, we should title it that for sure.
But the like I feel like the game has come such a long way, and more than anything, it's like just finding the decks that don't actually have to roll. Like, and we've always sort of described like, oh well, this is a
Right,
deck that
right.
at the end of the day still has to roll dice. And I think that we've had success because we've found decks that don't really need to roll dice, or like, Joe, you might find a deck with like so many inherent rerolls that you're just going to find your damage, be it like Night Sister or Satine's ability and 3PO focusing. It's just like, continually play these consistent decks that don't even care about rolling.
Five die sides. You're like, as long as it's not a blank, I don't care what it is. I'll take it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I loved Mom for a while because it flips dice, and I get that, and it's just, and I always know that they like when you're designing, right, you need a balance. So like Trandoshans, they
Do
have
you, though?
well, in theory you do. I mean,
Not in Star Wars Destiny.
Have you seen Face the Enemy?
Well, sure. No, I'm just saying that like the consistency of things, right? Like in theory, Face the Enemy is balanced because you get an exhausted character. I'm sorry, I couldn't keep a straight face with that. But like Trandoshan is in theory balanced because you need to play a shitty bounty, which isn't real either. Because like there's the 0 ones that are like great, but some of them are okay. Like when they pop off, they're fine.
Mhm.
But then you have like Dead or Alive, and that card is nuts anyways. Like you would just play that anyways.
Yeah.
So when you draw Dead or Alive and you have Trandoshan, you're just like, oh, I just like, oh.
And if you have your battlefield, you're like, I'm at 3 resources. Yeah.
Oh, and I'm at 3 resources. Suck it. Yeah, that's
I'll have money for the rest of the
so-
game. I can flip to
it's
3s
so-
instead of 2s. Yeah.
so good. So good.
And like we said, gonna win the roll because the roll's so high. So
And
of course
you're
you
like,
can have your battlefield if you want it.
yeah,
If you want it.
I'll
if you
gladly
want
take
it.
the shields. You have how much health? It's dead. Face the
It
enemy.
depends. Yeah, I mean the only deck that I've really played that I've sort of I didn't even make it, like platform made it. It was just the DJ Pyre deck. And that deck's like I think it's good. I think it's like a real contender. Just depends on how you're I think it's a really kind of draw dependent.
Mhm.
And obviously like if you like nut roll, the deck is just like kind of oppressive. Like if you just like roll like 2.
Oh yeah, if you just happen to roll 2s and they can't deal with it, yeah. That's the deck that I was working on a little bit last week. I didn't get to like wrap up completely tightly what I want to run in it, but I think the deck looks pretty promising.
Yeah, I played a couple of games and I changed the list a lot. We can talk about it after, but I mean, I lost a game playing it. It was very close, but I think that like there's just like there's just so many cards you could potentially play that it's just you kind of have to weed out what you want. And I
Yeah.
think that's like a big thing about the deck building is just there's all these cards that like are situationally good, and you really need to like focus in on which are the ones that like are worth it when they're situationally good versus like having cards that are like okay like all the time.
Yeah, they have to be enabling something else. It actually going through the process of looking like I don't usually run through like other Star Wars Destiny DB decks, but for this one I was like, well, there's so many ways to do this. Like, let me see what other people have tried and like just sort of look for the inefficiencies in what I see to sort of frame my own reference of what the deck should look like. And it reminded me a lot of when I started retooling the Ewok deck after first taking a look at what Shane brought and being like, all right, like this is inefficient, this is inefficient, this is inefficient. Like let's talk to like Joe, let's talk about the cards that just like do damage and feel like burn, and let me put like everything possible that's burn in there. And I actually kind of like inflict pain in it. I feel like that's a very underrated card in aggro decks. I think it's like saw some play in Ewoks, but not really anywhere else, and I think it could be good there.
There's another weird card. I don't know what the alliance is though, but it costs 1 and it's support and you control it, and it deals 2 indirect.
Oh yeah, you can. Like,
I think at the beginning of the round, but you have to pitch an event to pass it over to your opponent. So if you're gonna be slow like that anyways, and your opponent's likely to claim, you could
Yeah, you can do it after they claim.
Yeah, and then get into that way, and then you're in an event-based deck, so we go through all the stuff, and then I pass it over at the end, and then you're just like, well, shit.
Right, and when you're a deck that inherently is looking to mitigate every die, there's going to be an opportunity where your opponent's like, well, do I resolve this like disrupt or do I claim? Let me claim. You know what I mean? Because you leave them with like suboptimal dice, and sometimes it's more advantageous to just like open attack.
Yep.
The next round.
Yeah, my opponent the last game I played, my opponent had trained Joshin and he hadn't rolled it out and he just claimed. And I was like, wow, I did not expect you to do that. But he ended up winning the game, and I was just like, well, I don't know if this is good, but like it worked out in your favor anyways. But it's funny because then I drew like I just drew some cards that were like, God damn it, I really wish I had the battlefield right now.
You need it. You want it.
I need it, and that's the thing. That's the balance with that deck particularly. And then you have a lot of cards like the best defense that you need to balance with, like whether or not you want to use the best defense, but it's like super dirty in that deck. So it's just like if you're gonna play it in any deck, that's it. But then do you like you have spot yellow? So it's like a lot of these balancing acts that I think that really require testing and kind of knowing. And it's like there's an interesting thing too about what your random opponent will do, who they'll go for, versus who the player in like the top 8 will go for. Who's it right to go for? So this is like weird things that you really have to think about. And it generally doesn't come up because decks kind of become kind of obvious. But I think in like actually if you think about Chopper, I think Chopper was kind of a good example of like who does your opponent go for? Who will your random opponent go for versus who will the top 8, top 4 opponent? Like once they know your list, like all these things. I find that very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think that comes down to game planning. Like game planning can be so huge, and that's what like being on like an important why it's so important to be on like a good team with people who you trust, because like for us, when we split up and do playtesting, like I'm relying on someone to tell me like who I'm supposed to target in the matchup, even if I haven't played that matchup, and being able to like believe that I know that I play with good enough people to do it. Cuenca, do you remember the Versus Pro Circuit in New York City? The one where the Wild Sentinel deck was like all the rage and just like was supposed to take over. I think it was the third Pro Circuit. But anyway, like my buddy John Brown, he was like, oh, well, I really want to play Teen Titans, but it just can't beat Wild Sentinel. And I was like, oh, no, we have the game plan for that. But we just like actually think it's worse against the Dr. Light deck, so we're not running it. And I just like gave him the game plan on how to be Wild Sentinel. And the kid top 8'd. You know what I mean? It's like all comes down to just knowing the game plan for some of these matchups that make them like a perceived 30-70 to maybe like actually being a 60-40.
Yeah. Is that the long shot deck?
No. You remember the long shot deck?
Oh, of course I do.
Oh. No, that wasn't. That wasn't the long shot deck. Yeah.
And so anyways, it doesn't matter. But basically, there's like the first deck. There was like, never mind. I won't talk about it because it doesn't matter. Okay. But I think the game planning is very important. Talking about the levels, right? Like random person, who they're gonna do. Oh, they lose because they go for the wrong person. How does it go when they know? Because we definitely. I remember in our testing when we played Ewoks. And it's just like, I don't know what your deck does. Oh, I just fucking got crushed. And then it's like, okay. And then Joe would play against it and like, oh, now I know what you're doing. and it's a lot closer, like a way lot closer, or like I'm winning a little bit, and it's like,
Yeah.
and then you have to think about like, is it worth it to go in like once, no one will know what we're doing.
It's actually a great example because I played Satine droids at Gen Con 5 times with Ewoks, and against Joe, like I held it close for a while, but then in the end, it like got to that point where there was no way I was ever going to win. I lost another. I don't think it was that close, and then I won 3 pretty close ones. But yeah, to go into a match that, if you know the game plan, is really like, I don't know, what would you say, like 90% against Joe with Satine? Maybe like 80,
yeah,
20?
Ewoks was fucking doomed. But like, it
Yeah.
literally started at the beginning. I will take the shields.
Mm-hmm.
that was literally like 90% of the game plan. I will take
And
the
every
shields.
time you saw a shield, you said, I will take these shields.
Yeah.
And that was the way. But if people didn't do that, or people lost patience in it, then
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you can Arena of Death. I'm gonna kill that guy. And,
Mhm.
and like other people will be like, oh, I can't kill this guy. And it's like, well, they're gonna get the damage either way. So I'm just gonna kill it right now. And I just need to progressively make sure that I keep killing it, and either enforce you to claim before I kill the third guy to like miss a damage there. And there's a bunch of like just small stuff back and forth.
Yeah,
Right.
I think Ewok is a kind of is like, you're right. It's the perfect example of that, where it's just like when your opponent doesn't know what's going on, they're like, oh, like I see a Rune of Death, I'm gonna take your battlefield and take, I won't let you have it.
Yeah.
Because they don't know that you could just have it if you want to.
Mhm.
Whenever you want.
Yeah, actually, and I recently rewatched my match with where he won game 1, and he did it by like successfully, like he disrupted me and it was good, but I also knew going in, because someone else on the team, I think Reflex had lost to him, maybe, or maybe it was Outrun, I don't remember exactly who it was, but had said like, oh, he's going to disrupt you. So I was mulliganing away my strength in numbers. Like you could see on the camera that games 2 and 3 I mulliganed away strength in numbers, and sure enough, he wasted action sheet cards to like auto disrupt me. He gave up damage to auto disrupt me, and he never put me in a hole early. And I was, he might have killed a guy round 1 every game, but he killed only 1 instead of killing 2, which was like, that's a lot of damage differential.
Right. Yeah, and as you're saying, it's like the level. Like, do you want to go for the damage or do you want to go for the disrupt? And
Right.
I think
if I know he's going disrupt and I discard all my expensive stuff and mulligan for resource generation cards, then like I've leveled him,
yeah.
No, it's definitely one of my favorite topics. And like when you brought up Chopper, I could only imagine like when I sat across from people and I was like, I still don't know who they're gonna target. I was playing Satine and I was like, I don't know who they're gonna kill. Like, are they gonna go for a 3PO? Is it gonna be R2? Is it gonna be Satine? Are they afraid of easy picking? I don't know what's gonna happen.
You always have the same reaction too. They're like, all right, 2 into 3PO, and you're like, okay. It's like, all right, I'll put this 1 into R2. Okay. You just kind of like, you don't know what they're gonna do. It doesn't really matter to you. You're just gonna try and mitigate it as best you can.
Yeah, you just got to figure out where it's going, so then you can defend it.
Yeah, it's always just funny to that first set of damage where you're just kind of like, all right, this is the game we're playing. I've played this game.
Yeah, and like you'll see some people be like, oh, they're gonna go for this guy, and they throw a riot shield right at the beginning, and then you're like, I'm gonna go for that guy.
Like, all right, I'll go for something.
I'll just go over here. It's fine.
I'll go over here. That guy's got what, 11, 12 health? He's yeah.
We'll worry about him later.
We'll take out this guy.
Yeah, sure. You pissed on that tree. You got it. It's yours.
Yeah. I'll kill.
I will say that that's the allure of playing a deck that you know who they're gonna go for. Like you play Vader, you're like, all right,
2 shields on.
you want to go? Do you really want to go for Greedo? That's fine.
All
I
right.
have Bane. I was like, do you really want to go for Newt Gunray or whoever?
I've had people kill them. I've put 2 indirect on the guy too, and then I put like 1 on Bane, and they kill the guy, and I'm like, yo, no, I need this. I have entangles. Like, what's going on? Why did he just die?
I mean, maybe if you're, I guess maybe it might be right in some like weird situation. And that's the thing. Is like, let's just say like that happened, and then you like drew 5 cards that were spot yellow, and you had Bane, and you were just like, what the fuck? Like,
I did. I had
can't
2
believe this
entangles in
worked out.
hand.
Joe, why are you crying?
Why are you crying?
I
But
had
that's
2
really a
entangles.
situation of you just didn't draw any upgrades, so it didn't even matter. Like that could have been like, I don't know.
Entangle, desperate.
Yeah.
No,
Could have
dude,
just been like 2 Forsakens and 2 Hidden Motives. I guess that still would have been better, but still.
dude had 5. He did 3 indirect, and I was like 2 and 1, and I was like, I'm gonna bait you with my Greedo, and he's like, yeah, I'll kill it, and I was like, shit.
Wait.
This wasn't the plan. This wasn't the
Let me
plan.
Yeah, let me take that back real quick.
Did you actually lose that game though?
No, but like,
But you were upset about it. You were just like,
no, I had to pitch my 2 entangles. They were useless. I was like, okay.
Just the
yeah.
thought
I mean,
of
it always
possibly
feels bad. When
enough to flip Joe out.
Yeah.
Joe, did you want to talk any more about your, or at all rather, about the Build-A-Box you did? We're coming up on 40 minutes now, so.
Oh baby, this is the 3rd year anniversary. All right. So yeah, played in a Build-A-Box event. There was like 7.5 of us. The half a person was late, so he got a loss round 1. He played the next 2, so we only had 3. Cracked the box, cracked the packs, and was like, oh okay, you know, Sheehan Mastery, Deathfield, and I was like, oh, and I literally got down to my last 2 packs and still had 2 legendaries left, and I was like, oh, and it was like Poe, and I was like, oh okay. And I had already cracked like a Magna Glove and a Duchess. So I was like, all right, Poe, all right. And I'm like, come on, Bane, crack. And it was Slave 1. And I was like, okay. So I just like lay out all the cards. I'm like picking my stuff. And it's like, all right, what am I going to do? And I just kept looking at Luke 4. And I was like, we're going to go Luke 4 because vehicles are broken. And piloting. And I got ejects. Yeah. And then like I just kept looking and I was like, I can't go Rainbow with this well. Like it was just atrocious. And so I was like, all right, whatever. We'll just go Kragan. So Kragan, Death Trooper, Cannon Jarrus, and then I even jammed in the Deathfield and the Sheehan Master, and I was like, this will be fine. Oh, I just killed it. And it was amazing. Kragan is an auto force in draft. If you get him, play him. Because stealing resources is absolutely broken, and I played like 20 resources worth of stuff every game.
Yeah, that's disgusting. Yeah, my article that I started working on this morning is all about how Kragan is probably the best 16 cost character that's ever been printed.
Probably, but constructed is a whole different ballgame. That's the issue, right? Like,
yeah, it's just like on pure numbers.
Yeah, the main dilemma is just going to be like against villain, they can spend their money and then roll out and do stuff and operate at 0. Hero, on the other hand, is going to like look at you and cry. Like, can you imagine droids trying to operate through that? They're going to be like, but I need 3. And it'll be like, all right, whatever. You know, mod, overwrite into a 3, and I'm not going to be able to play mitigation at all. And you move on and whatever. But all the decks that have to struggle. DJ, can you imagine DJ trying to roll out? He's like, I need money to pay for removal.
Nope.
He's like, damn. But I think the big issue is going to be that you don't really run Kragan as 1 die. And at 2 die, you only get like 1 other guy. So like, there's this weird ass like pass situations going down. I don't know. We'll find out. But in draft, push Kragan.
Broken.
Make sure you play Raiding Party if you have it. There's a lot of stuff getting like the dice. Play Blue Ace. That thing's amazing in draft. It gets a little token, so you can play all the mitigation and Raiding Party for money. Money for days, baby. I play draft like I play constructed. I need permanents. Lots of them.
Money.
Make that money, honey. Make that money.
Do you think that there's any chance that Worlds gets canceled because of the coronavirus, COVID-19 scare that's plaguing humanity right now?
I think anything's possible. I'm at the point where like I need to talk to the Loops Dinner people and make sure that like, you know, if stuff gets canceled for coronavirus, how much time before, you know, we can cancel to make sure there's no issues. And I still haven't booked my flight or hotel yet, and I'm like, I kind of want to book those and make sure I can return them now. Like normally, all the stuff I buy, I don't know about you guys, that's my flight. I can't cancel it. I can't do anything about it.
Right.
There's no money coming back.
It's true.
Yeah,
It's true.
it's like, I guess I'll pay $20 more for coronavirus.
I actually bought. I booked a flight a couple weeks ago for the X-Wing tournament I'm going to on Friday, and for the first time ever, bought the flight protection.
Yeah. It's kind of nuts the way that this thing's making us change the way we do things.
Yeah.
And it's
So this
also
is gonna
nuts that
be-
it's like, I don't want this to turn into like a COVID-19 podcast, but like there have been other like horrific diseases over the like, you know, pretty recently. Like, don't look up the numbers for H1N1.
Is that the West Nile thing?
No, West Nile is different. H1N1, I think 4 years ago during the other election.
Okay. Why is it always during an election?
Why? No, sorry, it was 2009. But it was like, yeah, it was crazy. Every single country on Earth, like countries that the U.S. doesn't even recognize as countries, had it. It was like, yeah, it was pretty wide sweeping.
When you say
But
H1N1,
anyway.
I think of H1Z1, that zombie game. I was playing that and I was streaming, and it was a beautiful game.
So would you say that this world is Covert Mission 19 world?
If only it was 2019 instead of 2020.
God damn it.
Call it
So
Covert Mission COVID 20. Just call it COVID 20.
Covert 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's crazy because so I have a friend who is a nurse manager, office manager, and she was telling me that someone in my town, the next town, has it. So I was like, ugh.
Yeah, they canceled one of the schools in Worcester today because one of the faculty's family members had it.
Wow.
Thanks for never leaving my basement. Oh, introvert. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
I mean, I live in the middle of woods with a fully stocked with fish lake, so I'm good. I'm just gonna
Zombie
eat fish
fish.
for the rest of my life. Yep, zombie fish.
Yeah, my wife sent me a tweet that was like, I was already avoiding people before COVID-19, so this is perfect.
I've been practicing for this my
whole entire life.
I've already been practicing.
I've been ready for the last 6 months, guys. I
Seriously.
leave once a week to get food and sustenance.
Have you really been out of work 6 months?
Yeah, I stopped in August, bro.
Man, that seems like it didn't happen that long ago, but I guess it did.
It did. It's just because I was
That's
still doing
great.
random stuff for a while. Like I was going into like help and make sure everything was smooth. But yeah, 6 months. I got like
you really only leave the house once a week? That would drive me.
maybe twice, but like yeah, I leave like twice.
It's not good. Yeah.
No, I just don't. What am I gonna do? Like I don't care.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, today was
starting to get,
beautiful, though.
today was 70 degrees, so I guess like take a walk or something.
I was outside for today. That was beautiful.
There you
Yeah,
go.
it was
It was
awesome.
really nice.
68 Massachusetts, guys.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think once we start talking about COVID-19 and the weather, that it's time to call it a night.
Devolve.
So thanks to everyone for tuning in. I hope we talk about Destiny enough to make you happy, and I hope that you're okay with our bi-weekly podcasting right now. There's not a lot going on, but if Jost keeps bogarting my games, I won't have a lot to talk about. But if he actually lets me play against Nick,
Hey, I'm here for you, man. I'm here.
DJ Pyre hotness for you. So keep an eye out for that. And otherwise, you can check us out on our Discord playing Destiny and Legends of Runeterra. Just about daily, we're streaming in 1080p on the Discord. So having a lot of fun playing some games.
Patreon.com/Hyperloops.
Yeah, and we're posting videos every day. Prep. So I have a bunch of the backlog too. I got the posts. It takes forever. It's annoying, but
Change
yeah,
your save type.
Do it overnight.
Yeah, no, I do, but yeah, I do that, but still, it still takes.
Dude, yours has to be
All
high. Mine loads immediately. 5 minutes.
All right. They don't need to know about our upload habits. So thanks for everyone for listening. And we'll catch you in probably 2 weeks. But yeah, I'm away this weekend, so I won't be around. But if you guys want a podcast, go for it. Otherwise, we'll catch you in 2 weeks like normal.
All right. Deuces.